Asia, human environmental interaction. So let's get started. As you can tell by the slide or the title of the video and just by these globes that you should see, they represent the different parts of Asia, both South and Southeast Asia, some of the different regions and countries in Asia and South Asia that we've studied so far. And so when we talk about human environmental interaction, I will discuss it as it affects both South and Southeast Asia and all the countries that we've discussed from the past month, everywhere from India to South Korea to Myanmar to China. Okay. So the first thing I want you guys to do is just take a look at this picture, and what this is a climate zone map representing South Asia. It's representing all of Asia. What I want you to draw your attention to is, look, many different climates. We have very cold with dry seasons in North China. We have cold weather with dry seasons in China. We have the steep or dry steep right here in the Gobi Desert region. If you go down to the southern part of Asia that touches, you go down to the Indian Ocean area, you start seeing very tropical climates here with experienced monsoons that are exposure to monsoons and cyclones, and you'll go even so you see very, very diverse climate. That is the main thing I want you guys to draw from this. Very diverse climate in this region. Okay, very, very, very extremely diverse. And because of the diversity of the climates, we see different regions of Asia having different they experience different issues with water. Some parts of Asia have water scarcity. When we start discussing the Gobi Desert region, that is a desert. They have a hard time. They have their water scarcity issues there because of a lack of rainfall and droughts. But when you go along to the southern region, along the Indian Ocean, these areas experience flooding because of cyclones or monsoons. So once you go into the cyclone and monsoon areas, those areas of Asia that experience those, they experience a ton of flooding. They have too much water. Also, the result of the varied wildlife, or the result of the varied climate that you have in Asia, they also have extremely varied wildlife. Everything from elephants, crocodiles, water buffaloes, monkeys, tigers, snow leopards, blue sheep, exotic birds, and butterflies. They are experiencing some of the wildlife are experiencing issues with becoming extinct, and it's due to some of the topics we've touched on before: deforestation, agriculture, different irrigation projects, definitely urban sprawl, poaching, and overfishing. We've touched on pretty much these first four before, and I think we touched a little bit on the poaching, but definitely these are all concepts most of these are concepts that we're familiar with, that are experienced in other parts of the world as far as with their wildlife. Let's go back. Bam. All right. Environmental concerns. So when we talk about Asia as a whole, the continent of Asia as a whole, they are experiencing environmental concerns just like the rest of the world, just like we do in the rest of the world. This picture illustrates with their version of tree huggers, which we have here in the United States, or they're environmentalists who want to protect the forest, who want to protect the rainforest and area, and just the trees, period, the plant life. The chip codes are called the tree huggers. It's the tree hugger movement, and they provide seedlings for reforestation, where they replant trees that have been destroyed. What this second picture represents is these, of course, are whales that are being said to be processed. The country of Japan, whales are a big part of their diet. They are the largest consumer of whale meat in the world, and so Japan has been a target of global criticism because they've been accused of overhunting whales, and they've caused some species of whales to be on the verge of extinction. Now let's move to the next topic. I just mentioned something about Japan being criticized for their hunting of whales, but what this next picture represents is something that Japan has been applauded for by the rest of the world when it comes to energy conservation efforts. And Japan is a world leader in energy conservation, which is illustrated by this smart car, which is a low energy car, a car that doesn't use a lot of gas, from Japan. They've emerged as a world leader in addressing environmental issues. So Japan has some of the world's strictest environmental laws. They're automakers, Japanese automakers, and we're talking about Honda and Toyota. They've introduced hybrid cars, and of course, you guys are familiar with these concepts. They use less fuel and emit less harmful carbon dioxide into the air than cars that run just on gasoline. Japan has also been a world leader as far as providing aid or money and technology to help other countries to clean up for clean energy, and so they are definitely an area, and they're definitely a leader in the clean energy and the environment. Now we're talking about some causes of air and water pollution in China, and we're talking about causes of air and water pollution in China. Outdated technology, and we've discussed this before. I think we've even mentioned this before in China. Outdated technology, use of heavy reliance on coal, improper disposal of waste in human industry, and this is it represented by this picture. Not only in China though, some of the problems we've experienced in different parts of the world, the United States included. We discussed this, I think in Western Europe when we started talking about different types of fallout from industrialization. Also, but China is, because they are rapidly industrializing, which means they're going through the process of all these periods of industrialization, and they are a major manufacturing center. They are experiencing more of this than anywhere else in the world. Also, because China is not set up of the major industrialized countries, the United States, Western Europe, they have very lax environmental laws, so their environment is being polluted at a higher rate. But that also is why you have so much manufacturing being sent to China, because they do not have the environmental restrictions placed upon them by their government that the governments of the United States and Western Europe place on their manufacturers. What is the impact of this manufacturing? What are the impacts of this pollution to the people living near China? Of course, we're talking about lung disease, diseases from sanitary water, cholera, dysentery. These are all diseases. Also having breathing problems. Now let's talk a little bit about the natural disasters that affect Asia. We'll touch in us being in South Louisiana, we're familiar with some of these or some version of these. The monsoons. And the monsoons, what this picture illustrates, are the path the monsoons. There's seasonal winds, and unfortunately, according to this picture, India has monsoons in the winter and in the summer. Northern India experiences monsoon weather in the winter, and southern India experiences monsoon weather in the summer. And monsoons are seasonal winds that bring warm, moist air from the oceans in the summers and cool, dry air from inland in the winter. And this next picture, these next two pictures, are things that we are very familiar with in South Louisiana. Tropical cyclones. If you see this picture, this will be an artist rendering from what a tropical cyclone would look like once it's over water. This is a picture from space. So what a tropical cyclone looks like from space. To us, this looks like a hurricane, right? Exactly. So tropical cyclones, or this part of the world's version of hurricanes. That's why they look very similar. Tropical cyclones are storms with heavy winds, heavy rains, and high winds, and they blow in a circular pattern just like hurricanes and around an area of low atmospheric pressure. So each region has a different name that they use. In North America, we call them hurricanes. Okay, they're called typhoons in the Pacific area region. Severe tropical cyclone is what they're called in India, and a severe cyclonic storm is what they're called in the north part of the Indian Ocean. Tropical cyclone is what they call in the southwest Indian Ocean. So it's all the same type of storm. Hurricanes, typhoons, severe tropical cyclones, severe cyclonic storm, tropical cyclone. It's what all of us around the world, we each have different names for them, but it's the same thing. And what we'll do now is take a look at some of the major cyclones, or the major tropical storms, hurricanes, cyclones, whatever you want to call them, that have hit over the past 20 years, and then compare the damage to them. So the first one we'll be taking a look at is In 1999, the Orissa cyclone in India. This is a picture of it from space, or really, this is an aerial photograph of it, not from space. It's Category 5 cyclone. So we're looking at its maximum winds of 160 miles per hour. Had a 26-foot storm surge. Over 90 million trees were lost. Over 1.6 million people were homeless. Close to 10,000 people died, and $5.1 billion in damages. This is the aerial photo of Hurricane Katrina in 2005 in the United States of America. Category 5 storm, 175 miles per hour, 28-foot storm surge. Over 1.3 million acres of forest were destroyed in Louisiana. Close to 2,000 people died, $81.2 billion. What you will notice is that the storms in the United States of America cost more, even though they were close to the similar strength of the storm. And that's because it's more developed. New Orleans was more of a developed area. A lot of these countries in India and Burma were not as well developed. So you're looking at more villages and not as much cities, more rural areas. And this is the Niagara cyclone in Burma. It's a Category 4, 135 miles per hour, 26-foot storm surge, but at least 138,000 people died. Compare that to 2,000 to 10,000 people. At least 138,000 people died. And that's for any number of reasons. One, there are rumors or reports that the people had no idea that this storm was coming. And you guys know from being in New Orleans that we had a tremendous amount of people leave New Orleans, so evacuated that area. But imagine how bad Katrina would have been if no one would have known, not that it was coming, or they just thought it would be a regular rainstorm, and then the levees break and all heck breaks loose. This is what happened in Burma. Over $10 billion in damages. And these are some pictures. And if you take a look, the main point I want to drive home to you guys is that just how this just all looks the same, doesn't it? It just all looks the same. It's the same level of destruction. The same level of destruction we all experience. It very similar. So they're all the same storms, same concepts, same things. A tsunami, talking about the next type of natural disaster. And these are pictures of it. Okay, so this is a tsunami. When an earthquake's occurring in the ocean, it creates a huge wave. The wave, so they have earthquakes in this part of the world. They create earthquakes. The earthquake creates a huge wave, and the wave continues until it hits land. And these are two pictures of tsunamis. These are pictures from off in the distance of a tsunami. This is actually, look at how high these waves are, about to hit a beachfront city. The second one, this is another picture of a tsunami about to hit these waves. This is another picture of the clouds coming, or the debris from a tsunami. It's in the background, and it's about to hit the debris, or the water mist is on the way. It's about to hit a subdivision. Then we'll start talking about man-made disasters, or man-made issues in Asia. And this picture is of one. And what this picture illustrates is, we mentioned this earlier. This is part of something that we mentioned earlier. This is this kind of talks about the dam at China's Yellow River and the Yangtze River. It can produce flooding, but the Three Gorges Dam project, it's in this river valley, and it produces, their goal is to produce electric energy for China, for the interior of China, as well for the rest of the country. What these two pictures show you is what this area looks like. This is what the area looks like before the dam, and this is what it looks like afterwards. So you see that there is a lot of flooding, or that the water level is definitely higher. The Three Gorges Dam is also the world's largest dam. So please remember, highlight the answers to your homework learning targets, answer the questions in bold lettering. Have a good day. See you in class.